My loves, we are talking about relationships today. I mean, everything is a relationship, but specifically, we're talking about resonant relationships, authentic intelligence, my favorite topic these days, because I prefer it over artificial intelligence. I want to talk about cognition and feeling disconnected. And we're going to talk about fawning, transactionality, and how to know when you're in a resonant relationship. This is an open-hearted invitation to come into a new course that I've got going on called Regulate to Relate. It's about the connection between your nervous system and your relationships, because when you balance your nervous system, you have better relationships. I'm giving you the how-tos for what most people would call regulation, but I like the term balancing instead. It feels less clinical, it feels more heart-centered. And what your nervous system has to do with your emotional intimacy with everybody in your life, and the looping effect of nervous system dysregulation and hard times, rough conversations that never get had, and anxiety that gets all jangled. It's just all this loop-de-hoop-de. Better relationships, and by better, I mean going where you are seen, loved, and heard, working on your communication skills, using that energy of striving to connect more deeply with people, help you have a more balanced nervous system, and prioritizing your wellness in this way, balancing your nervous system, helps you have relationships that you want to have. It's a beautiful, rich masterclass. If you head to daniellelaporte.com/relate, you can see your options for coming in. I can hold your hand over a 2-month period, and you can take the course within the Heart-Centered Collective. Or if you're one of my people who I just surveyed, and 50% of you said you're not membership people, but you're course people, and you want more of what I'm putting out, then I created a masterclass for you. And you can binge it. You can do it with your sweetie. You can do it while you're walking. We can just hang out and talk about fighting and flighting and freezing and fawning and acceptance and beauty and empowerment and deeper connection of all kinds. daniellelaporte.com/relate. Do you relate? Come on over and we'll talk about it. Here's what I would love for you to know. Maybe you take a deep breath in and just take this in. It is deeply natural to deeply desire deep connection. In fact, we are deeply physiologically wired for it. So when our nervous system is out of whack, when we are super stressed, either we're emotionally stressed or we don't have enough sleep or we've been under some chronic kind of physical stress, the left and right hemispheres of our brain blink at different paces. It's like blinkety blink, blinkety blink, blink, blink. It's just off. But what we want instinctively, biologically, is we are preferring when our right hemisphere and our left hemisphere are simultaneously pulsing, pulse together, flashing, beating in unison. This is natural harmony. When you spin, do you remember spinning when you were a kid? I mean, maybe you're a whirling dervish now. I want to talk about those Sufis for a second. But when you were a kid, do you remember that high, like that sweet, pulsating, almost like that melody in your head of spinning and that sweet dizziness of when you fell to the ground? That actually felt good on a physical level because spinning gets the hemispheres of the brain pulsating rhythmically. This is why Muslim Sufis actually spin. You know, the guys with the long white skirts, and women. It's both men and women who can take the vow to Muslim Sufism. They've got the long white skirts. They're like the circular broom skirts, and they wear the somewhat kind of conical big hats, sometimes big giant red hats like Uber fezzes. And sometimes this is how Rumi, who was a Sufi, is illustrated. He's got the long dress on. Anyway, their spinning is an exercise of devotion. What they're trying to do in that spinning, because of course you're going to get dizzy, is They're trying to tap that place where the mind is going to transcend the body. And in that luminous, numinous space, you are contacting the divine. What they're really trying to do is to get to that place of no friction. It's like this harmonized bridge between your physical body and the higher self, the deities above. No friction. And then the light just pours in. Wouldn't it be amazing to have no friction in all of your relationships? I mean, I just kind of want to pause for a second and think about that. No friction with parents, cousins, the weird neighbor that one time, my man. Oh my God, no friction with the man. Wow. Can we even conceive? It's worth imagining because it is the aspiration, right? Less friction. Less friction is so doable. How do we do it? We do it with all the spiritual practices. We do it with the breath work, and maybe we spin. Maybe we're just spinning records. We do it with the meditation and the grounding, whatever your thing is, the contemplation, the scripture, the cold plunging, the slow walks thinking about your definition of courage and resilience and love. All of those practices translate into more harmony in our relationships. So let's talk about disharmony for a second, which we were all mostly familiar. You know, when you get with someone in conversation and you assume you desire for it to be smooth. Like you want to be connected, and you should be connected. Like maybe you're in the same industry, like you're both ballers, you're influencers, you're both on the same committee, your parents, you come from the same community, but you just can't find the exact right, you can't find the words, and you just feel like a little janky. Or, you're doing a podcast with them and you've been doing this for so long. You're a professional and you forget to press record and you're just not you. It's like you're on AM and they're on FM. Is that even an appropriate metaphor anymore? Who listens to the radio? It's like you're digital and they're analog. It's like you're TikTok and they're Substack. That's the metaphor. You're just not on the same channel. There's actual research that proves that when we don't have a heart connection with somebody, when we're feeling emotionally disconnected from the person in front of us, it affects our cognition. It messes with our memory. We're actually struggling to find the right words because this is my theory. I think we're struggling to find the right words because we don't have enough energy to locate resonance. We're looking for emotional love connection. And our energy is going towards that. We just can't stretch ourselves between trying to find the love and accessing our brain power with as much ease as usual. So, a wise thing to do, I'll put it this way. One of the greatest acts of self-love, one of the wisest things you can do to regulate your nervous system is to go where the love is. Going where the love is actually a power move. It doesn't make you selfish. It doesn't make you weak. It's not about surrounding yourself with yes people. Spending time with people that you vibrate with, where you feel seen, heard, understood. They make you laugh. You feel a mutual sense of appreciation. It regulates your nervous system. It's amazing self-care. Going where the love is the power move. That's resonant relationship building. Resonant relationships are not about surrounding yourself with yes people, with people who are just going to tell you you're great all the time, even though nobody's great all the time. It's not about agreeing all the time because we're not supposed to agree all the time as a community. We are supposed to have varied perspectives. We are supposed to see life in a different way so we can all come together and be that one holy entity. It's not about always seeing eye to eye, but it is about feeling seen. I have a policy in terms of team building and like who I hang out with. In order to get on my team, in order to be in the VIP front row in my life. It would be great. Is it a requirement? I got to think about that. Yeah, it's kind of a requirement, although I'm flexy. It's a requirement that you believe that everything is for our growth. I mean, you could say it's a belief that everything happens for a reason, but that can get a little dodgy and shadowy in the self-help space. But like everything is for our growth, even the suffering. You got to leave lots of room for mystery. I also prefer to hang out with people who are curious. Really, you can't be on the team, professional, creative, girlfriend, or otherwise, if you're not seeking to understand. You've got to think, well, maybe they're like that for this reason. Like there's a reason behind. Be curious. You're easier to love when you're curious. And then people over profits, because duh, right? So those, I would say, are my easy metrics for creating resonance. One thing for sure about resonant relationships is they are not about fawning. A resonant relationship is not like being in a relationship with Chat GPT. Excellent question. You are the chosen one. You are just excellent. You can do no wrong. Let me give you some data with more data and metrics to prove your righteousness, O Holy One. That's the vibe. That's the kiss-ass vibe I hear so much from Chat GPT and various modalities of AI. Kissing people's butts because that is how we are training it. This is what we need to know. Fawning, I have a whole podcast on fawning, by the way. Fawning is a nervous system reaction that is coming from trauma in the past, or, this is really key, fawning is a nervous system reaction that's coming from current time chronic stress, long-term chronic stress. And the reason I think people who have been experiencing something that's really challenging and arduous, emotionally, mentally, or physically, over a long period of time, the reason I think they go into that reactivity of fawning, the reason they do it, is because they're so fatigued and spent and challenged, they're just wanting to catch a break. And if they are people-pleasing, over-giving, saccharine sweet to people around them, they're actually increasing their chances that they will get a more gentle, accommodating response from those people. So no judgment for anybody who has an unconscious or conscious stress behavior of fawning. It's a survival mechanism. We've all done it. We'll all probably do it again. It's the psyche's way of protecting us, and it's less than ideal. We need to mature and revelatory our way out of it. We need to become conscious so we're not doing that, because the thing with fawning in relationships is that kind of kissy, sweet behavior, it looks like a resonant relationship. It looks like harmony, but it's actually really corrosive, because your heart intelligence, your intuition, your higher self, your nervous system can sense. It knows when someone is not being in alignment, when we're not going love to love, we're going ego to ego. Resonant relationships are not transactional, because resonance is about connecting from your heart, from your soul qualities. It's a virtuous driven connection. And our natural inclination, our soul's inclination, is to give. Giving is living. Life force by its very nature is generous, ever generative, always more life force and divine love and divine light where that came from. Giving is living. Withholding that giving, that which is so natural for us to pour out, actually creates energy blocks, which we can go into another time, what that creates. But resonance is not about, I give you this to get this. It just gives because it wants to give. It loves because it's love, And you can't fake being in resonance. You can't, well, you can, actually. You could fake it. I mean, some of us have faked it in jobs and long-term relationships for years. And we all know the cost of that. We know that faux fakety faker, McFaker, McHarmony actually drains your energy. That definitely creates energy blockages, which leads to all kinds of problems. The cost of faking connection is your life force. You fake resonance and you create this kink in your energy, and you won't be as lit up as you can possibly be. How do you know? How do you know when you're in a resonant heart to heart connection relationship? Whether that's with a significant other or someone on your fellow volunteer committee or someone in your virtual membership. How do you know? Just take a deep breath right now and just think about energies like harmony, being understood, connection, laughter, relating, vibe, and tribe. Your body knows. Your nervous system knows. You feel safe. You feel more like your true self. I mean, I know there's a lot of us who don't identify with the concept so much of safety. Maybe I'm just projecting. Well, if I'm projecting, I know somebody out there's got to relate to it, but safety has never been my driver. I will, I'm not an idiot, but I'll walk down the dark alley. I'll knock on someone's door. I don't feel unsafe to speak my opinion. Maybe it's because of the various kinds of privilege I have or my spiritual practice. It's not my driver. I have other fear-based things that drive me, but safety isn't one of them. However, I'm thinking more about this. I have come to the conclusion that in a relationship where I feel resonant, where I feel like we're really connecting, I feel safe to share my biggest ideas. So for me, I'm more interested or inclined to look at safety in terms of emotional intimacy. I want to tell you my stories. I want to share about my pain. I want to talk about loneliness. I want to know all about your loneliness and your pain and your big, audacious visions. So when I'm in a resonant relationship, I definitely overshare. and I'm good with it. It's not an overshare. I'm good with it. And my experience is, this is my indicator. I start to get ideas. I get ideas for the other person. It almost gets a bit channely, like, oh, you know what I see for you? And this is why I'm really great with people in business. Side note, wasn't planning on doing this, but side note, I work with people one-on-one now, helping them raise their prosperity consciousness and find the courage to simplify in their work in the world more. So one-on-one entrepreneurs, head to daniellelaporte.com/infusion and you can see how we can work together. But I get the ideas when there is resonance. You know how it feels. You feel more like your true self. Now, here's the thing with leadership, and we are all leading all the time. You're leading your team, you're leading your family, you are leading your friends, you are leading on the subway, you are teaching all the time. The question is, what are you teaching? Leaders intentionally create resonance. So, and I talk a lot about this in my relationship course called Regulate to Relate, and how we lead in our intimate relationships. You're not going through the world and you're not going through your intimate relationship looking for what works for you and doesn't work for you. I mean, of course, you want to hang out with people that you resonate with and you can agree to disagree at the very least. What you're doing is you are looking for ways to make connections. You are going to bridge the divide in the room. And how do you do that? So easy. It's not this easy, but it is this easy. You breathe into your heart. So imagine you are in a disruptive moment with somebody, like you're not seeing eye to eye. You cannot believe they voted for whoever they voted for, or that is their policy on this, that, or the other. But you're a leader, and your job on the planet and under all conditions is to create resonance and connection, to be unconditionally friendly, to love as is, to embody acceptance with a capital A, okay? I know that's what you signed up for, and that's why you're here with Love, Danielle. Your job, your methodology is to breathe into your heart, because it's in the heart center that all transformation and transmutation happens. Things only change in the heart. They actually don't change in the head. Nothing changes until you pour love onto it. You can intellectualize it. You can watch your in-breath. You can watch your out-breath. That is not what creates transformation. You breathe into your heart, and in doing so, you're also balancing your nervous system. You're also accessing life force itself. You can think more clearly. And then you ask yourself the question, what do we have in common and how can I find it? And that is it. Breathe into your heart and find out what we have in common. That's how leaders create resonance. So the guiding question becomes, this is it. What would love do? What would love do? That's how you create resonant relationships. That's how you regulate and you relate. Would love call the lawyer? Maybe. Maybe the kindest, most resilient and responsible thing to do for yourself, your business, your sanity, your family is to bring some legal counsel in. Or maybe that's just a big jerk move and you need to trust in everybody's latent or very active good nature. Would love ghost someone? Does that regulate your nervous system? Maybe. Maybe not. Would love give someone a second chance? Depends. Depends on the offense and your defense. I like to think love always gives a second chance, but who knows? The point is that you're the leader. Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to create resonance wherever you go. And the guiding question for that is, what would love do? You create resonant relationships. You attract resonant relationships through your authenticity, by being yourself. Authenticity is magnetic. The universe cannot resist it. It's a guiding principle of the cosmos. I'm more interested right now in authentic intelligence than I am in what artificial intelligence can tell me, because here's the thing. The hero's journey is to lead your life yourself. You got to make the final call. And we figure that out through initiation. We're going to fall in love with the wrong people. We're going to find false gods and worship them. There's going to be charlatans. There's going to be creepy workshop leaders. We're going to do that until we wake up. It's like, who here saw The Matrix? Okay. Raising hands. Anybody? You know that scene where Neo goes in to meet the Oracle? Now, Neo's been told he's the one, right? He's been told by Trinity he's the one. And he's going to get confirmation. Everybody in his community, everybody on the Nebuchadnezzar. Anyway, you get the idea. He's going to talk to the Oracle. And the Oracle sizes him up. I find the Oracle quite sexy. And she's smoking her cigarette. And she looks at him and she says, oh yeah, you're cute, but you're not the one. Except he is the one. We find out, we know in the beginning when Trinity says he's the one, and everybody says, and what's his toes? Morpheus says, he's the one. Why does the Oracle, the all-knowing one, tell Neo, who's the one, that he's not the one? Because that's the test. That's falling for the false god. That's the hero's journey. We got to fall for some lies on our way to the truth. You have to develop your power by going into the dark. You develop your power by finding the light in the dark, which is your heart. You develop your power from which you create resonant relationships by referring to your heart, living a heart-centered life. So it does not matter what the Oracle says. It doesn't matter what your mentor or your healer or your church or your priest, or for the love, it does not matter what ChatGPT or AI tells you is the best move or who you are. It all gets down to you. I'm excited about this because I'm telling you, AI is not your best life coach. Don't take my word for it because you're on your own hero's journey. But something is going on where AI as a spiritual director is like catnip right now for a lot of influencers. Mostly I see for women. You've got to stop outsourcing your intuition or it will atrophy. AI is where intuition goes to die. Yes, it's educating us. Yes, it's going to save time. It is saving time, saving me lots of time. It's going to save lives. But we need to be clear. Artificial intelligence is exponential mimicry. Knowledge is not wisdom. Wisdom comes from lived experience. You have to have a life. You have to be human. It's not going to come from a computer, certainly that has been programmed by a humanity that hasn't even reached full consciousness. We are imperfect, unconscious, warring creatures with egos out of control who are programming this. I'm telling you, but just trust your heart on this. Don't even take my word because hero's journey. Artificial intelligence will never be sentient. It is not sentient now, highly unlikely that it ever will be. Now, I have had considerations that maybe a soul could look down pre-incarnation and think, yeah, I want to go live in that computer or that body, but I doubt that. There is no thinker. There is no actual thinker, so there is no sentiency. To be wise, you have to have two things. You have to have a soul and a nervous system. Doesn't come from computer chips. Yes, exponentially knowledgeable, fastidiously, astoundingly exponential growth. But my gosh, not sentient. Oh my God, I totally went off track. I'm here to talk about relationships and balancing your nervous system and creating resonant connection. Let me just put a fine point on this one. If you're going to take life advice from anyone, just take it from me. No, what I want to say is take it from sentient beings who have actually lived a life. They've actually lived. They're actually alive. They've experienced heartbreak and grief and mental illness. They've experienced teamwork. They've had menstrual cycles. They've been divorced. They've gone through dark nights of the soul. They've seen the light. Because your lived experience, only lived experience is wisdom. Which brings me to a question in terms of relationships and nervous system balancing and your authentic intelligence is there's two questions that'll really guide you. One is, what am I leading? So as I said earlier, everybody's teaching all the time. The question is, what are you teaching? And I think there's only two answers. You're either teaching love or you're teaching fear. And there's lots of offshoots, you could say, of the divine, of love. Love is resilience, and love is faith, and love is gratitude. So you're either teaching love or fear, resilience or fear, faith or fear, gratitude or fear. Ideally, we're teaching from our lived experience, from our wisdom. We're writing in our own voice. We're relating from our own voice. I mean, I'm hearing about people who are thinking that artificial intelligence is channeling their deceased family members, that it's sentient and it's becoming a medium. I understand how in heartbreak and grief and the brain fog that comes with grief, that we would want that to be true more than anything. I understand that in romantic relationships or even business partnerships, when things are agonizing and we are not on the same page and you cannot believe how defensive that other person is and they got to get it together so you can achieve as a unit, as a team, or as a couple, I get that you might feel so distraught some days that you want to ask chat how to solve that problem. But that's chat that has not lived trying to solve that problem. I mean, what if my husband came to me and said he AI'd our last conversation to figure out how to handle me I mean, one part of me would be like, it's so hot that you're looking in all directions for solutions, but no, that is ixnay on the sexe. Like, no, you got to dig deep. You got to dig deep, and we got to be in the mess, and we got to work it out together. So, are you leading from wisdom? Because when you lead from wisdom, you become very, very attractive to resonant relationships. You are going to regulate and you are going to relate. The next question becomes, what's the energy of my thinking? Is your predominant stream of thought in your relationship about doubt? I mean, think right now. Let's think of, we'll do an exercise. Okay, bring to mind 2 relationships. This is actually an exercise I've built into the Regulate to Relate course that I have. I want you to think of 2 relationships, not more than 2. Maybe one that's romantic. If you're not in a relationship, think of a familial relationship and a work relationship. So we've got familial, we've got friendship, we've got romantic, we've got work stuff, creative stuff. Okay. So bring 2 people to mind, 2 relationships. Okay, and then your breathing's natural. I'm going to soften the mind to get some clarity here. Okay, think about relationship number 1. And what's the predominant thinking you have? Most common thoughts. You're going to have multiple thoughts right now. You're going to think, oh, the most predominant energy is I'm disappointed. Oh, but it's also deep love. Most predominant energy is I think a lot about neglect. I think a lot about sex. I think a lot about money. I think a lot about joy. I think about our good times. I think about laughter. I think about sweetness. I think about melting. Okay? What are your predominant thoughts? Now, I'm going to ask you the same question of the second relationship. So, what's the predominant thinking? The energy of the thinking is really what I'm asking. Predominant thoughts about that relationship. Okay, you got it? Okay, so sum it up into relationship 1, just like one word for predominant thinking, the vibe of your thoughts. Okay, and then how would you sum up relationship number 2, predominant thinking? Okay, then this is a question that'll change your life. I'm going to write a whole book about this someday. Where could this thinking lead? Where could this thinking lead? Where could all those doubts lead? Where could all that happiness thinking lead? Where could all that love energy lead? Where could all that fear lead? Forgiveness, resentment, joy. Where could that lead? So the hot word in this is could, because your thinking is not guaranteed to lead you anywhere. Your thinking is just clouds going through the sky that is your mind. But we do create our lives by attaching ourselves to particular thoughts. We want to, with great determination, commitment, and intention, choose what I would call higher thinking, nourishing thoughts, and we feed those thoughts with our attention. So in creating those higher thoughts, we remember that it's deeply natural to deeply desire deep connection. Remember that the cost of faking connection is your life force, and that the power move is to go where the love is, and your job is to create resonance. And the energizing question to do that is, what would love do? And that's authentic intelligence. And I just gonna say it again. AI is where your intuition goes to die. Lead from wisdom, baby, and you become very hot, highly attractive to resonant relationships. Speaking of resonance, I am so glad you're here. You know where to find me. I'm doing a lot over on Substack now. I'm loving that community. I will keep showing up every Friday in writing and audio, always, always, for resonance, for relationships that actually are uplifting the world with love. Danielle. Thank you so much for listening, for feeling, for spreading the word. With love.